The U.S. president's legal troubles are mounting, and this time it is personal. The New York Attorney General, Barbara Underwood, my guest tonight, is suing Mr. Trump's charitable family foundation with serious allegations, including the illegal use of those funds for his presidential campaign and for settling his personal accounts. First, though, a quick reminder of Underwood's rise. Her former boss, New York Attorney General Eric Schneiderman, was a bombshell casualty of the Me Too era, accused by former female partners of shocking domestic violence. He denied the charges published in The New Yorker, but still he resigned within hours. Barbara Underwood took his place, and she has a stellar record. A clerk for Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall, first in her class at Georgetown Law School, and now she's running New York's top law enforcement office, which has proven to be a major legal counterweight to some of President Trump's policies, for instance, on immigration, the environment. And today, as news of the lawsuit against Mr. Trump became public, Barbara Underwood joined me from New York for this exclusive interview. Attorney General Underwood, welcome to the program.
I'm very glad to be here.
So firstly, congratulations. You are the first female Attorney General of New York State, and we'll get more into that. But your first big case, which you're announcing right now today, is an investigation into the Trump Foundation, into Donald Trump himself, and indeed all three of his children. What exactly are you alleging, and what has happened in this case?
What we are alleging is that this Trump Foundation violated a number of laws of the state of New York that govern the way a foundation, a nonprofit corporation, is required to govern itself. And that, so those are procedural violations, and that the money of that foundation was distributed for impermissible purposes, personal purposes, business purposes, political campaign purposes, rather than for the charitable purposes that the foundation was established to perform.
Can you give us particular details, and how much money are we talking about?
I think $2.8 million that were spent for, that we allege were spent for improper purposes of the type I've just described. And then there are penalties under the statute as well. So what we're asking for is the return of the restitution of the money that was improperly spent, and then penalties for violating the law, and of course the dissolution of the corporation and the distribution of whatever assets it may still have.
So basically what you want to see is the dissolution of the Trump Foundation. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's correct.
How unprecedented is this, Attorney General, for a sitting president to be petitioned in this regard?
Well, I think what I want to say is it's not at all unprecedented for a nonprofit corporation, for a charitable foundation, to be held to account for these violations. It is not, I'm unaware of a case in which the foundation involved was run by a sitting president, but there's no reason why a foundation owned and operated by a sitting president should be exempt from the laws that we routinely apply to other foundations.
And how long have you been investigating, or has the Attorney General's office been investigating this?
About 2 years.
And in the release that you have made, there's allegations, or you describe it as this foundation being used as a personal checkbook for matters that the law does not allow a foundation to be used.
That's right. It paid the business and personal obligations of various Trump enterprises, and its assets were used for supporting, promoting the presidential campaign. Neither of those is a permissible purpose for a charitable foundation.
And I wonder if you have your notes there, you could maybe just refer to them and tell me exactly what political bit of this you're talking about. Was it a debt he owed? Was it to, I don't know, how did he allegedly use this money during the campaign?
Just before the Iowa caucuses, the the campaign coordinated with the foundation to direct the disbursement of money to Iowa charities, and to give the campaign credit for the distributions that were being made. And there are, I believe, attached to our complaint photographs that show that when the campaign, when the foundation was distributing money, it was basically attributed to the campaign.
Mm-hmm. And just so that we're clear, again, extensive self-dealing to further Trump's business interests, like paying off a Mar-a-Lago debt. That's one of the allegations, correct?
That's right. That's correct. That's right. His businesses, I believe there are various legal obligations of his enterprises promoting his hotels. I believe there are a series of non-charitable purposes to which these funds were.
And you just referred and explained illegal coordination between the campaign and the foundation around the Iowa caucuses is what you allege. There are apparently emails, including from Corey Lewandowski, who was one of his key aides during the campaign. And you also allege other mismanagement issues, Trump making all the decisions himself without proper management structure.
Right. The proper management structure is what I was referring to earlier when I said there are procedures about the way a board of a foundation is supposed to operate, and the principles, that the decisions that are made to distribute money from the foundation.
And Attorney General Underwood, are you going to seek to depose Mr. Trump?
I don't think that will be necessary, but I really can't. It wouldn't be appropriate, I think, at this point to discuss the details of where this is going. We have filed a complaint, a petition, we've made allegations. We believe we've got undisputed facts here that will justify the relief we're seeking.
Mr. Trump has tweeted a response. Here we go. The sleazy New York Democrats and their now disgraced and run out of town AG Eric Schneiderman are doing everything they can to sue me on a foundation that took in $18.8 million and gave out to charity more money than it took in, 19.2. I won't settle this case. What do you make of that? What's your reaction?
Well, there are several points that are made there. This is not either a sleazy or political action, nor was it brought by Mr. Schneiderman. This is a straightforward case of violation of the laws governing charitable foundations and nonprofit corporations in New York.
So you're saying it was not brought by Mr. Schneiderman, but the tweet goes on to say, Schneiderman, who ran the Clinton campaign in New York, never had the guts to bring this ridiculous case, which lingered in their office for almost 2 years. Now he resigned his office in disgrace, and his disciples brought it when we would not settle.
We brought this case when we were confident that we had the evidence and the legal arguments to back it up, and it obviously was not settled.
This is a big first case to take on. Are you prepared for the slings and arrows that are going to come your way?
I hope so. I think so. I mean, I have spent decades trying to apply the law without fear or favor. I have never been interested in either exempting somebody from the law because of their political position or enforcing the law especially against them because of their political position. There's no reason why I would do anything differently.
Let me just read to you what the New York Times said when you took office in May. Despite a life of firsts, first in her law school class, the first woman to serve as the nation's Solicitor General, and now the first to serve as New York State's Attorney General, Barbara Underwood has spent most of her career as a number 2. So I guess, how does it feel to be number 1?
Feels fine. I could ask the same of you, I suppose.
No, not of me. This is all about you today, and about the law, and about women in the law. So tell me, what do you think, as a woman, you bring to the law that perhaps men don't have similar sensibilities?
I have spent a large part of my professional career starting when I was clerking for Thurgood Marshall, attacking discrimination of various kinds. And it was always important to him, and it is to me, to understand two things: that when you exclude a group from decision making, you lose something important, and yet it is not true that all members of that group see the world the same way. So it's a little bit hard to specify exactly what I bring. I bring a life experience that's a little different. One person that I worked for said that he wanted me to be his second in command because we disagreed so well. And I've always liked that compliment. I think that he valued that I would disagree with him and that we would find a good and congenial way to resolve the disagreements.
That is really refreshing to hear in this day and age, I must say. You join an illustrious but somewhat troubled recent group of attorney generals of New York State. Were you surprised by the allegations of domestic abuse that were brought against Schneiderman and over, drinking and indulging and the kind of physical violence that he's alleged to have meted out to the women in his life, to some of the women in his life?
I was stunned, and everybody that I have spoken to about this in the office was stunned. We had no knowledge, no clue, no reason to believe or suspect anything of the sort. But we have moved forward. I have felt that the most important thing, the most important part of my mission at the beginning was, a month ago, was to turn everybody's attention forward rather than back. We have a lot of wonderful, important work to do, and very talented people working on it, and I wanted to make sure that everybody felt supported and encouraged to keep going.
Why are you not seeking this as a permanent elected office? Why is it that you've said that you will only stay until others can contest for this job?
Running for office during this period would make it impossible to do the job that I am doing. I think there are competing demands on a person's time and attention, and I felt that the very important job that I wanted to do immediately was to bring the office together to keep going forward. I have also said that I would be happy to help anybody help the next Attorney General if they want my help.
I'm going to push you a little bit on that because many of the laments about why there aren't enough women in these top positions, particularly in elected office, as is the Attorney General office, we need you in the arena. And if you don't get into the arena, there won't be more women in these leading positions. Are you sure you won't reconsider? I mean, if it was a guy, he'd still be doing the prosecuting and the investigating, and he'd still be running for office.
I'm sure that running for office is not where my talents lie and my interests, and that I can be most useful to the people of the state of New York and maybe beyond the state of New York, doing what I'm doing now.
Attorney General Barbara Underwood, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for giving us your very first interview, and particularly on this rather important day. Thanks very much.
Thank you.